Temple police officer has been found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Miles Pfeiffer clearly intended to kill Temple police officer Christopher Fitzgerald. Prosecutors said a jury agreed. Tyrone Bowman, live. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, a Philadelphia judge on Wednesday sentenced Miles Pfeiffer to life in prison after a jury found him guilty of murder for fatally shooting Temple University police officer Christopher Fitzgerald in 2023. The sentence imposed by Common Pleas Judge Glenn B. Bronson capped a 3-day trial that revisited a crime that had stunned the city when it happened more than 2 years ago. Bronson called Pfeiffer's crime, quote, the worst of the worst, end quote, saying he not only cut short the life of a 31-year-old father of 4, but that he'd done so in a, quote, cold-blooded murder of a police officer, end quote. Quote, the system collapses when people attack and kill police officers, end quote, Bronson said, adding that Pfeiffer killed Fitzgerald for nothing, for no reason at all, quote, close quote. The jury, composed of 6 men and 6 women, took only 20 minutes to convict Pfeiffer of charges including first-degree murder of a law enforcement officer and weapons offenses. They also found him guilty of carjacking a Temple student moments after the shooting, a crime he committed before fleeing to his mother's house in Bucks County, where he was arrested the next day. In addition to life sentence for murder, Bronson imposed an additional penalty of 22.5 years for the robbery charges. The verdict led to an outpouring of emotion in the courtroom, which had been packed all week with supporters of both Fitzgerald and Pfeiffer, as well as a host of city and Temple officials. Pfeiffer's father, Joel, a former Philadelphia police officer who has worked in law enforcement across the country, told Bronson before sentencing that his son resisted chances to move elsewhere so that he could continue serving his home city. Fitzgerald's widow Marissa called Pfeiffer, quote, pathetic and a waste of life, end quote, saying he denied Fitzgerald's children a chance at a life with their father. Pfeiffer declined to address Bronson during his sentencing hearing, and his relatives declined to comment while leaving the courtroom. Throughout the 3-day trial, prosecutors told jurors Pfeiffer had intended to kill Fitzgerald when he fired 6 shots at the officer on the 1700 block of Montgomery Avenue on February 18, 2023. Quote, this was not just a killing of another human being, Assistant District Attorney Bob Wainwright said during his closing arguments Wednesday. This was an execution, end quote. Fitzgerald had run after Pfeiffer, then 18, around 7 p.m. that night while working patrol in the neighborhood. When the officer caught up to him after a brief foot chase, the two engaged in a physical struggle, at which point Pfeiffer pulled a gun and shot Fitzgerald, then stood over him and fired another 3 rounds at his head. The crime was captured on video, and prosecutors said the footage was clear proof that Pfeiffer committed an intentional killing worthy of a first-degree murder conviction and the automatic life sentence it carries. Pfeiffer's public defenders had sought to convince jurors that Pfeiffer, a high school senior at the time, had acted impulsively and out of fear, afraid of being chased by a police officer in part of the city he'd visited on an aimless Saturday with his brother and a friend. They asked jurors to find him guilty of third-degree murder, a conviction that could have permitted him to seek parole at some point in the future. The killing led to a sustained outpouring of grief in the weeks and months that followed. A block near Temple's campus was later renamed. For Fitzgerald. Months after charges were filed, District Attorney Larry Kastner's office announced it would not seek the death penalty. Fitzgerald's relatives have criticized that decision, saying Pfeiffer should face the most serious consequences permitted by law. Separately, the Fitzgerald sued Pfeiffer and his parents, accusing them of failing to prevent the crime by allowing Pfeiffer to access guns as a teen and failing to address earlier episodes of misbehavior. The lawsuit remains pending. The murder occurred after Pfeiffer had wandered around different parts of the city with his younger brother Dean and a friend. They ended up near Temple's campus. And after leaving a corner store at 17th Street and Cecil B. Moore Avenue, Dean Pfeiffer testified the trio noticed police watching them, started running, and split up. Fitzgerald chased after Pfeiffer, catching up to him on the 1700 block of Montgomery Avenue. After Fitzgerald grabbed Pfeiffer and told him to get on the ground, video showed Pfeiffer, without warning, began shooting. He then regained his footing, video showed, stood over Fitzgerald and fired 3 more times before running away. Then evidence showed Pfeiffer carjacked a student on a nearby block, putting a gun in the man's face and telling him to turn over his keys. Pfeiffer ditched the car but ended up at his mother's house in Buckingham Township, where he was arrested the next day. Why didn't they arrest him that night? I'll tell you why they didn't arrest him that night, because the mother covered it up. I said it and I meant it. The mother covered up for her son, her baby boy. She didn't want him to go to prison. Fitzgerald, meanwhile, was taken to Temple University Hospital, where he was declared dead not long after the shooting. Spectators this week included Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel, Temple President John Fry, and Vice President of Public Safety Jennifer Griffin, former District Attorney Seth Williams, at least one common pleas court judge, and a variety of attorneys. Fitzgerald and Pfeiffer have also each had large contingents of family or friends in the courtroom. Krasner, speaking after the verdict, declined to say why his office had declined to seek the death penalty in the case. He credited Philadelphia police and other agencies for working quickly and diligently on the investigation, calling the shooting of Fitzgerald an absolutely a heartbreaking case, quote, close quote. There has been some great work that has been done inside and outside this office, he said, by people who genuinely care, quote, close quote. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit. What's happening, little dancer Raleigh? What's happening, Oscar? Fusis, what's up? All right, never surrender, never quit.